So this is going to be Lucid Press Basics. If you're in your Google Drive and you click over to Create, you'll notice I already have a Lucid Press document icon here. If you aren't seeing that, you'll need to go to Create More Apps, or Connect More Apps. Type in Lucid Press, and then you're looking for this Lucid Press layout and design, and you will have a Connect button here that you can click, a blue Connect button, and that'll go ahead and connect it to your drive. So this one I can go Create and click Lucid Press Document. It's just telling me that it's going to create it in the folder that I'm in right now. And I can click Create and Share, and that's going to open up a new tab for me to work in here on my Lucid Press document. Now when I get into Lucid Press, I have some options about what I can do. It's going to bring up an option to create a new document, and I can decide whether I'm creating this for print, so something I want to print out, or to keep it on a computer. For most of the things that we do, we end up printing them, so I'm just going to go with for print. Then down here I can either look at all my options, these are all the things that they have templates to create in Lucid Press, or if I'm looking to create something specific, I can go into a specific category. For most of the things that I create with students, I just start with a blank printer document. But depending on what you wanted them to make, you might consider having them go into a brochure template so it's already split into nice thirds, or maybe a newsletter or magazine so it already has some of the comments or columns. Just be aware that if you're using one of the templates, when we open it up, scroll up here, here we go. So if I'm using this template, when I open it up, it's going to have that information that you just saw on a template in it already. So when I open up either a template or a blank document, it's going to ask me to name it. And now you'll notice that things are labeled with what they are. So it tells our students now that this is the front cover and that they should put in a tagline. So just be aware that if you're doing a template, you are going to have to delete a fair amount of stuff in order to get your stuff to be in there. So here I am working in this template. In a template, everything is done as text boxes or image boxes. So if I click on this front cover here, this is a text box. I can delete the words that they had there and place my title here instead. If I highlight my title, then I have options over here of what I can do with it. So I can make it larger. I can change the font. I can change the color of that font, bold, italics, underlined, etc. Left and right, bullet pointed list. If I go to style, right now it's not filled with anything, but I could fill in that box. So this is the style of the text box. I can also do gradients, where I'm saying that my colors are going to shift. So I could do from black to white, and an angle of some kind. So you can see that I already have many more options in here just in terms of my text boxes than I had, say, in a Google Drawing. It's more like a publisher program where if you fool around with all the buttons and options for long enough, it will create some pretty cool things for you. I'm going to go back and just do a blank page to show you what I do with students when I have them just start from this from the beginning. So if I go to print and I just go to blank, I can start with just a blank document. Again, we'll just name our documents so that we can find it again later. And here we are starting in a sample blank document. Now, similar to what we did with drawing, you'll have options all along the top up here. So if I go into my edit, this is where I'll be able to undo and redo. Zoom, this will allow me to see the whole page or part of a page. page, this is where I can make a new page. A big difference between this and like a Google document would be that a Google document is going to make a new page automatically when you need more space. For this, you'll need to create your own new page when you run out of space on this page. So I can put a new page in. I add a blank page, and then I can see that now I have two pages here, back to back. When I scroll on the side, it's going to show me those two pages now instead of just the one. Arrange, these options will come up once I start getting more items in there. These are things I can insert, similar to Google Drawing, so text box, an image, a video, scrolling area, or a comment. These options will come up once I have some words in there, and that's about it. So when I'm creating something with a student, typically I would have them start with a background. So if I start over here with a shape, if I put in a rectangle, and then I have choices over here of what to do with that rectangle. So I could fill that rectangle with a solid color. This would just give me a basic background. Say I fill it with a nice blue-purple color. So this is if I just want a solid background on my page. I could also do a gradient background, shifting from one color to the next. So I could do a simple gradient where maybe I start at a light yellow and I move to a dark green. Maybe we're doing a pecker project here. Again, clicking in that box, I could shift it around, I can move the angle. Here's my border on my box, so I could, similar to Google Drawing, I can make a checkerboard border or a dash border. I can make that wider. I can change the color that it would be. Notice that by doing this, I'm just setting that as the background on the first page. In a Lucid Press, you need to think about each page being a work in progress on its own. So I'm not setting this as the background for all of the pages in my document, just that first page in my document. Now, if I want to do the same thing on the next page, if I click on the box and right-click, I can duplicate this and drag it down to the next page. So if I want to continue having the same background on the pages, I can do that just by duplicating it or copying and pasting it, but it's not going to do that automatically. Now it's time to add some stuff on top of my background. So if I do a text box, notice when it pops up it's all full of stuff. If I just click backspace, all that other stuff goes away. Maybe I'm making a poster for my Pecker party, so I'm going to put Go Pack Go up here at the top. By highlighting that, I can change the size. So this is going to be the title. So I want it to be pretty big. I can click over here and make it bigger. Maybe I'll do 40. It's layering things up, so I need to be careful that when I want to move something, I grab the right layer. Oops. I can extend this box out. Notice that similar to Google Drawing, when I start moving this around, my line's going to pop up in the middle. So this shows me now that it's centered. I could center my font. Maybe I change the color. I find a good font, and there we go. Now I have my heading on here. If I want to add an image, I click my little mountain range over here, and it's going to pop up all sorts of images. So for these are going to be images that are already on my computer that maybe I've used before. I could look for the images that are in this document. I could look in my Google Documents, or I could search images. So maybe I search for Packers, and I want to search on Flickr. It's not finding anything on Flickr. Maybe I'll do my Google search. And instead of Packers, I'll look for football. There we go. I'll put my football image down here at the bottom of my page. I can insert video. Now remember, if I'm going to be printing this, my video isn't really going to matter, but if I save this and then send it out as a digital invitation, I could put in a video of me saying how excited I am. You need to put where that video is coming from. So if I put in if I put in a link to a YouTube video or some other place, I could find a Packer video here, and I can put that into my source here, and when I click OK, that video is going to be dropped in. Notice I'm layering things up here, so now when I put this video on top, it's on top of this image that was behind it. Moving down my list, these are going to be my shapes. More basic shapes than what we had in Google Drawing, not as many options of shapes that we can put in there, but I could do a oopsie, dropping them behind there. I put this as a background so I could create like a border around my picture here. Again, I could change the color. There we go. If I wanted that on top for some reason, if I right click, I can choose where I want it to be. So I could bring it to the front. I could send this item to the back. You could start layering it up so that different things are at different layers. I'll change that blue color. It doesn't go with my Packer theme very well here. There. Alright, buttons, these are going to take you to different places. So if you wanted to connect to something else, you could put in a button. Table, this is maybe if you want to share some information about, well, whatever you might want to put in a table. It doesn't work very well with my invitation to my Packer party that I have going here, but for a table you could put in information that you wanted to share, or if you're making this as a flyer for your parents, it could be a calendar of what's coming up in the next month. And I think the best feature of Lucid Press is its ability to connect directly to your Google Drive. So if I click Drive, it's going to take me to everything that's in my Google Drive. So for example, if in here, in my Packer Party thing, I wanted to put in some information about Lucid Press, just because people are, of course, going to want to know how I made this awesome invitation. When I click Select, it's behind the image here, so let me get that out of your way. When I click Select, it's going to bring that document in as a text box. Now, the trickiest part for kids to remember, this is what we run into when I was doing their books with them, is that right now there's this red plus sign down here, and that's telling me that there was more written in my document than is showing up. A couple of ways we can remedy that. We can either just drag this bigger until that red checkbox goes away. So you see by getting it this large, that red box goes away. Notice that as I move this, my paragraphs are shifting to be the size. This is really nice when you're trying to make your info books, because you can move something that they've typed in a Google document over to the side like this, and then have them put their text features down over here. The other thing we can do is if that red X is still there, They just need to be aware of how much of their text fit on here, so that if I bring that same document in again, I know which part of it I need to get rid of. So this time I'm going to delete, oops, not all of it though. Undo that. So say I needed to go onto the next page, I could delete the part that I know is already up in the box above. And now this is the part of the document that would have to go on to the next page. So just something to be aware of in Lucid Press is when you see this red plus sign, that's telling you that there's more to be seen. Overall, it really depends what you're trying to do. If I was truly making an invitation, I might use a Google Drawing if I was more interested in using the shapes. But like I said, if I wanted to put in a video in here or some other thing that I'm going to send out then digitally, I might put it as a Lucid Press document instead.